All right, so welcome to this deep dive, and we're going to be looking into something pretty interesting today, something you might not expect, pinball.
Pinball.
Yeah, pinball. So, when you think about pinball, you think about arcades and, fun and maybe a little bit of frustration when you lose your ball. But we're going way back to the mid-20th century when pinball wasn't just looked down on, it was actually criminalized.
Yeah, it was a full-blown moral panic.
Really a moral panic.
Oh, yeah. People were seriously concerned about this game.
Wow. So, it was actually illegal?
Illegal in a lot of places, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
Yeah, hi, it's David. Yeah, I just proposed this topic, pinball, when the pinball was a crime, flipping out, okay? Because the other day I watched a film which is called Pinball, and I it was crazy watching this film and thinking that was real, So I thought, well, let's do a podcast about this thing that probably many people will don't know about that.
Oh, hey, thanks for suggesting this topic.
Yeah, it's a wild story, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's hard to leave now, right?
Exactly. It's almost unbelievable.
So what was the deal? I mean, really?
Well, basically, back in the day, pinball was seen as gambling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you put your coin in, pulled the plunger.
Yeah.
And hoped for the best.
Okay.
You didn't have a lot of control.
So it was all chance then?
Pretty much, yeah. And gambling was a huge no-no,
Yeah.
right? So pinball got lumped in with the rest of it.
So it wasn't about the game itself?
No, it was the gambling thing.
Right.
Gambling was seen as this big social evil.
Leading to problems.
Corruption, organized crime, all that stuff.
Okay, that makes sense.
And those flashing lights, the bills. It's easy to see why people connected it to gambling.
Yeah, it fit the image.
Right.
And this is where Mayor LaGuardia comes in, right?
Oh, yeah.
New York City, the 30s and 40s, pinball outlawed.
He was a character, that's for sure.
Unbelievable.
He went after the pinball hard.
How so?
He saw it as a symbol of everything wrong with the city.
So he just banned it?
He didn't just ban it, he went all out.
Wow.
Police raids on pinball.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, but the guy I liked the most was Roger Sharp, who was I think it was I'm not sure if it was a lawyer.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Roger Sharp is the hero of this story.
He was a writer and pinball enthusiast.
Determined to show pinball was a game of skill.
That's right.
So where were we?
LaGuardia was really going after pinball.
Oh, yeah, he really was.
Sledgehammers, really.
Oh, yeah. They'd confiscate the machines,
Then what?
dump them in the East River.
Wow, talk about a crackdown.
He was not messing around.
No kidding.
Can you imagine just trying to have some fun?
Right.
And your favorite pastime is public enemy number one.
I bet people were upset.
Some people saw it as a chance to fight back,
A chance.
to prove pinball wasn't just gambling.
Okay.
That's where the idea of skill comes in.
Right.
They added things to give players more control.
Like what kind of things?
The biggest thing was flippers.
Flippers.
That changed the game completely.
I could see how that would make a difference.
You actually had to think.
Suddenly, it's not just about luck.
Right, strategy.
Interesting.
That changed how people saw pinball.
Flippers saved pinball.
In a way, yes.
And that leads us to Roger Sharp,
The man.
the guy who put pinball on trial.
Legend.
What did he do?
He challenged the idea of chance.
Bold move.
He offered to prove it right then and there.
And he won.
He did.
That's amazing.
It was a huge victory.
I can't believe that.
Not just for pinball, but for other games being judged.
So it sounds like it was more than just pinball at stake.
Right, the idea that games can be skillful.
Exactly.
From being outlawed to being defended in court.
Yeah.
Pinball really went through it.
Yeah.
Perceptions can change.
Indeed.
It takes someone to stand up and say, hey, this isn't right.
Like Roger Sharp.
Exactly.
And that reminds me.
Of what?
Do you think there are parallels today?
Oh, definitely.
I guess
Video games, for example.
How so? Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. After seeing that film, after watching that film, I was thinking, can you tell me about another object that was banned in the past, but seems completely ridiculous now? Could we just make a list if you want?
Absolutely. I love that idea.
Okay, let's see. How about books?
Books.
Yeah?
That's a good one. Where were books banned?
Fahrenheit 451, anyone.
Oh, you're right. That seems so absurd today.
What else is there?
What about certain types of art?
Like what?
Like some modern art was considered obscene.
Well, that's a good one.
It's crazy how... yeah.
Yeah, and what about yo-yos? You know, yo-yos in Greece and Syria and in some parts of the USA was banned due to superstitions.
Why shows too?
I did not know that.
That's a great example.
Why were yo-yos banned?
Apparently, they were considered dangerous.
Dangerous how?
A weapon, maybe, or a tripping hazard. I'm not entirely sure, but it sounds crazy, right?
Totally. Okay, so we've got books,
Yeah.
art.
Yo-yos.
What about something more recent?
Let's think.
Oh, back to our listener.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that Coca-Cola, was banned in India because the company didn't want to share its formula, so they banned it. And in Russia, it was banned as well.
Wow, Coca-Cola.
I didn't know that either.
That's a great example of a ban for a very different reason.
Not a perceived danger, but corporate secrets.
Exactly. That's fascinating.
It shows bans aren't always about protecting people.
Sometimes it's about power or control.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got books, art, yo-yos.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk about music. What about rock music in Iran, in Cuba, in Russia, in the previous Russia? I mean, they were considered subversive, and it was censored and banned in multiple countries, you know?
That's a fantastic point. Music is a powerful one.
Absolutely. Oh, go for it.
Yeah, can you imagine that the Beatles were banned in some countries? It's just so crazy to think about that. The Beatles, oh my God.
Wow, the Beatles. I didn't know that either.
I had no idea. Where were they banned?
Well, it wasn't a total ban everywhere, you know.
What do you mean?
They were censored or restricted in some places.
What?
Their music and image were considered subversive.
Like rock and roll.
Exactly.
So music is a big one.
Yeah, and rock music.
All right. That's a pretty good list.
And now that we're on the topic of censorship, remember fidget spinners?
Oh, yeah.
They were briefly banned in some schools.
Fidget spinners. Because they were distracting, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so it doesn't even have to be illegal.
Right.
It's restricted.
Good point.
Okay, so what's the pattern here?
I think it's often fear.
Fear of the new.
Or fear of losing control.
Definitely.
Like LaGuardia fearing pinball. The Beatles were blamed for corrupting youth.
Just like video games.
That's true.
So,
yep, go on.
Yeah, now let's do a thought experiment, if you like, about how some of today's prohibition or bans might seem ridiculous in the future. Let's do this thought exercise. What do you think about that?
I love that idea.
That's a fascinating question.
What seems normal now?
It could be totally absurd later.
Let's brainstorm.
Okay, what's something that we might think twice about later?
How about social media?
That's interesting.
The way we're glued to our phones.
Future generations might see it as bizarre.
Like, did people really spend all day online?
Right. Or maybe some of the ways we communicate.
Like what?
All the abbreviations and slang.
True.
It might sound like a completely different language.
Like, can you even imagine that?
It could be like trying to decipher ancient texts.
Okay, that's a good one.
What about food? Oh, yeah,
Well, what I meaning is that today's prohibition might seem ridiculous in the future. For instance, marijuana prohibition of nowadays. I think in the future probably is gonna be ridiculous because nowadays alcohol and tobacco, it makes more harm than marijuana. So do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Marijuana prohibition is a great example.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people are talking about now.
It's definitely a shifting landscape.
And you're right, the comparison to alcohol and tobacco.
It raises some interesting questions, right?
Like, why is some things legal and others aren't?
Exactly. Future generations might look back.
And wonder what all the fuss was about.
It's like how we look back at the pinball ban.
Or the yo-yo ban, for that matter.
So what else might seem ridiculous in the future?
Okay, so we have tech, food, and marijuana prohibition.
Right.
They might be seen as really unhealthy.
Or even unethical, given what we know now.
Oh, that's a great point.
Okay, so we have tech and food.
What else?
What about transportation?
How so?
All these gas-guzzling cars.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you another funny example. Nowadays in Singapore, chewing gum is banned. I mean, selling and importing chewing gum is illegal to keep public space clean. Don't you think this is just ridiculous?
Chewing gum.
Singapore is famous for that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a great example of something that seems bizarre.
Especially when the reason is just cleanliness.
I mean, is little gum really that big of a deal?
Apparently so for Singapore.
So that goes on the list.
All right.
Okay, so we have marijuana, tech, food, and gum.
I see a pattern in some of these.
What's that?
A lot of these bans relate to things we put in our bodies.
Interesting.
Food, drugs, even gum.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Like, we're trying to control ourselves. Oh, yeah. Let's hear it.
Yeah, did you know that in North Korea, blue jeans are banned? I mean, people there, they cannot use blue jeans, for instance.
Wow, blue jeans in North Korea.
That's another level of control. Wow.
So we can add blue jeans to that list.
Absolutely. That's a great one.
That's fascinating.
Okay, so what else seems wild today?
We were just talking about transportation.
Right, all the gas guzzling cars.
Exactly.
So cars might be on the way out.
It's totally possible.
Okay, so social media, food, gum, cars.
Plus blue jeans.
Right. What about work?
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you another tip on North Korea. There's restriction on hairstyles. There is a limited number of approved styles, mainly for women. I mean, they can only choose between some of their styles. You know, just married women or single women. They've got just similar hairstyles.
Wow, hairstyles too. I didn't know that.
That's an incredible level of control.
So we can add hairstyles to the list as well.
It really highlights that pattern we're seeing.
Oh yeah.
These bans are related to identity, right?
Exactly.
Clothing. Oh, go for it.
Yeah, but we can go to the States because Kinder Surprise eggs have been banned in many places because they think that the little toys inside can be a shocking hazard. So that's why they banned it.
Kinder Surprise eggs.
That's a fun one. Yeah.
I remember that.
You know, that's a safety thing.
We were just talking about transportation.
Right, all the gas guzzling cars.
Exactly.
And, you know, that idea of hairstyles is fascinating.
It's so micro-focused.
Right.
Restricting something so personal.
Okay, so social media, food, gum, cars,
Plus blue jeans and hairstyles.
plus Kinder Surprise.
Oh yeah. Go on.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you one in my place where I live. Okay, in Spain. I mean here we cannot use water wells in our city. We can't use it because we have to get connected to the local supplier. So we cannot use our proper water. You know what I mean? So you have a big well outside in your garden, but you cannot use it. Isn't it ridiculous?
Wow, that's a great example of something that sounds strange.
Local water supplier only.
Right.
Even if you have your own well.
Exactly.
Okay, so social media, food, gum, cars,
Plus blue jeans and hairstyles.
Kinder eggs, and local water.
That's quite a list we've got going now.
Maybe future generations will work less.
Or in completely different ways.
Like more flexible.
Well,
Yeah, uh-huh.
well, and what about heavy internet censorship? I mean, in future generations, they might think that
Oh yeah,
we were
that's
crazy.
a huge one.
Internet censorship is definitely something.
We might look back on that and think,
What were we so afraid of?
okay, so social media, food, gum, cars,
Blue jeans, hairstyles,
Kinder eggs, local water.
and internet censorship.
This list keeps getting longer.
So thinking about the future.
Yeah.
Or working remotely from anywhere.
And the idea of going to an office,
It might seem really outdated.
it's interesting that this isn't new.
We go through these cycles of fear.
And then hopefully understanding comes.
Right.
Remember LaGuardia fearing pinball?
It's the soap. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm going to give you one which is really funny. I mean, in Greece, high heels are banned in historic sites, okay? Because they prevent the damage of the places. So high heels, mine women, are prohibited.
Wow, high heels in Greece, that's a great one.
What a specific example.
Because they damage the sites.
Right. It makes sense if you think about it.
Okay, so social media, food, gum, cars.
Blue jeans, hairstyles.
Yeah.
Or listening to music.
Or giving social media.
Eating a Kinder Surprise egg.
Or drinking water from your supplier.
Or wearing blue jeans.
Oh, back to our listener. What's up?
Yeah. And to end with this long list, in Japan, I'm going to tell you that until 2015, dancing after midnight was banned. Okay, there was some laws restricting late night dancing in clubs.
Wow, dancing after midnight.
In Japan, that's wild.
It did not know that.
I guess they thought it was disruptive.
Okay, so social media, food, gum, cars,
Blue jeans, hairstyles, high heels.
Kinder eggs, local water, and now dancing.
Internet censorship.
That is an amazing list.
So it's not just about what we put in our bodies
It's also what we put on them.
or how we express ourselves.
Right, our identities.
Exactly.
Like blue jeans, hairstyles, and high heels.
Now, late night dancing can...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to ask you, from this long list, which one do you think is more ridiculous? Which one do you think is just outrageous?
Well, for me, the dancing ban is pretty outrageous.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
It just feels so arbitrary and controlling.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
What about you? Anything stand out to you?
I think the blue jeans ban is pretty ridiculous.
Why is that?
I mean, banning an item of clothing.
That's just part of everyday wear for most people.
Totally.
It's a symbol of freedom and expression. So it feels like a direct attack on that.
But everything does seem ridiculous.
That's true, too.
High heels, dancing, Kinder eggs.
Exactly.
You know, the more you think about it.
Yeah. The more absurd these bans seem.
It's all a matter of perspective.
Wes. Okay, where were we?
We were talking about bands.
You sure were. Or listening to music.
Or using social media.
Eating a Kinder Surprise egg.
Or drinking water from your supplier.
Or wearing blue jeans.
Hairstyle, too.
Or dancing in a club.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, and I would like to ask you if there's going to be any restrictions on AI rights. I mean, probably in the future, you will have some kind of consciousness. So are we going to have some restriction on AI rights? What do you think about that?
That's a really interesting question.
Definitely.
The idea of regulating AI is already here.
Yeah, people are talking about it a lot.
It's like with pinball, at first, it's all fear.
Right, fear of the unknown.
And like music and art control.
Exactly.
So I could see restrictions on AI writing.
Like what kind of restrictions?
Well, maybe copyright issues.
Oh, yeah.
Or preventing AI from spreading misinformation.
That's a big one.
Or maybe even limiting its creativity.
Limiting creativity.
Yeah, like saying AI can't create certain types of content.
That's kind of scary.
It raises a lot of ethical questions.
It sure does.
But it wouldn't surprise me if we see some bans.
So AI writing could end up on our list.
Along with social media, food, gum, cars.
Blue jeans, hairstyles, high heels.
Kinder eggs, local water, and dancing.
And of course, internet censorship.
Absolutely.
Well, AI is a good one to end on.
Right.
So pinball fought its way from criminality
It did.
to become a beloved pastime.
Maybe one day AI will too.
And maybe we will get freedom from social media.
Very true.
Or high heels.
Maybe one day people will get it.
And water restrictions will go away.
And people will get to dance freely.
Or people will get internet access.
Maybe it's time for a new Roger Sharp
Exactly. To step up.
and challenge the status quo.
Okay, that's all the time we have today.
Thanks so much for suggesting it.
We really appreciate your insights.
Especially all those examples you gave us.
They really help bring it all together.
Well, that's all for today, folks.
We hope you enjoyed our little deep dive.
Until next time, keep questioning everything.
Thanks again for tuning in.
We appreciate it.
We had a great time chatting with you.
Thank you.